Hello and welcome back to the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Ash Owen, and I cannot wait to find moments of joy with you today. If you don't already know, one of the best ways that more people can find out about our podcast is to share it, is to repost the episodes on social media. So why don't, after listening to today's episode, you jump on Instagram, you jump on Facebook and share today's episode. Tag us at Everyday Joy Pod, and we would love to see what you are loving about our podcast. I cannot wait for you to hear the word of God, so let's get ready to dive into today's episode.
Jesus said, "Ask God to bless anyone who curses you and pray for everyone who is cruel to you." That is from Luke chapter 6, verse 28.
Shay, we are wrapping up the week.
Oh.
I don't know if I told you, but you told me that today you're going out for a nice little dinner with your girlfriends.
I am so excited. You have literally no idea. I haven't seen my friends in so long because I've been knee deep in renoing and working and unfortunate sicknesses.
Yeah.
I am craving some good friendship time.
Totally. If you didn't listen to our episode on Wednesday, you should go have a listen. We're talking about being good friends. Shay, you've been through the thick of it. Mm-hmm. You know what it's like to have good friends, and you know the fruits of it. So go have a listen. All of the podcast episodes end up just merging together into one.
It's true.
So good.
Jesus.
Jesus. So good. So we're looking at Luke 6 verse 28. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. This is not an easy one, that's for sure.
This is so hard, and it is far easier said than done.
Yeah.
If I shared a bit of my story around this situation in our Christmas episode, which was a throwback.
Yes.
Where, in a nutshell, I have had a very significant friendship breakdown.
Yeah.
A best friend.
Which is so difficult.
Oh, horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Like, yeah. And I had been journeying through that, where just, coming to terms with the fact that what my life now looks like without them in it, and forgiveness.
Yeah.
That has been a journey, because I have forgiven many a people in my life. Many a people have done a wrong thing to me, and I to them, and I've forgiven. But this was a whole new level. I've never experienced this kind of hurt before. And I was telling you just off mic, Ash, before we got into this, that I have finally reached a stage where I feel like I can genuinely pray for this person now.
That's so cool.
I can genuinely, it's like I've turned a corner or
stepped over the boundary or whatever it is.
And I feel like I can genuinely pray for them, and I only want good things.
Yeah.
And I had been praying for them, but my prayers were more like because I had to.
Yeah.
Like, God, I'm trying my best to forgive this person, but I'm really upset still.
Yeah.
I'm really hurt. But, bless them.
Bless them.
Like, I still hope that you do good things with them. And now I finally found myself in a spot where I'm like, no, I truly want what's best for them.
Totally.
And I can see now past my hurt, and I can see how much they are hurting as an individual. And I want God so desperately to heal them, because I still care for them.
Totally.
And I still love them.
Yeah.
But this verse is not an easy one to get to.
No.
Like, to bless anyone who has cursed you. And Ash, like, a curse is when someone says something to your face. That's one thing. But I'll tell you what I find more hurtful: when people have been saying lies about you behind your back.
That's something that deeply affects me. I think that when, and not to jump from place to place, but I know that there are people listening who will have had relationships that broke down 20 years ago and are still carrying the hurt of that season, because having lies spoken about you, having things said about your character that aren't true or are warped or come from a place of hurt, that gets you. That is something that can be so hard. And to be quite honest, I think that when you hear those things said, that can be something hard to forgive.
Yes.
It's one thing to experience something face to face, like you said, but when things come up and you hear things, that is difficult.
Yeah.
That is difficult. But I think the cool thing about this verse is, Jackie and I did an episode 2 weeks ago where we talked about God's doing a new thing and not being stuck in the past. And I think that what this verse shows us about God is he doesn't want us to stay trapped in that season of unforgiveness, of frustration, of disappointment. Because all it does is put us in this box of emotions that only grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
And nothing will change.
No, it breeds. The thought that I have is just breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
To break the cycle of bitterness, to break the cycle of unforgiveness. Because the other thing is with unforgiveness, when you harbor that, it's transferable.
Totally.
Like that unforgiveness can actually transfer through generations.
Yeah.
So if that's something you're holding on to, unfortunately, it's something that will be passed on.
Yeah.
And we want to be passing on good things to our family. We want to be passing on good things to our friends. So it's breaking the cycle of unforgiveness and really, really honing in and reflecting on the grace that God has for you and the grace God has for the other person.
Yeah, totally. I think that when I reflect on my life, I want to be someone who extends grace. And I also, though, on the other end, want people to give me grace because I'm not perfect.
Oh, same.
And I make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I look back at my life and I go, man, I wish I didn't say this. Man, I wish I held my tongue or thought something through a bit more before saying it. And I think that if we can learn to bless those that curse us, or in other words, that bless those who say ill things about us, and pray for those who treat us poorly, it actually changes the way that you can deal with a situation.
Yeah.
And you don't know, Shay, those prayers that you said when you were still struggling, you don't know the impact that had on your attitude now.
100%.
And not even your attitude, but like this, I guess like the supernatural ability to forgive.
I'm going to be honest. I think those prayers in those moments when you don't feel it, but you're still praying it, are far more powerful.
Yeah.
Where it says in the Bible, like, I believe God, but help my unbelief.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm forgiving God, but help where I'm not forgiving. Help my unforgiveness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that, Shay. It's so true. It's the same with like motivation. Sometimes you go like, okay, well, I have to be motivated to do this. And it's the same with forgiveness, and it's the same with this. And that is literally the action of this. Bless and pray before you're there.
Yeah.
Because that's what will get you to forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's not actually forgive and then you can pray for them and bless them.
Yeah.
It's actually you need to pray and bless them in the meantime. And that's what will build the character. That's what will enable you to forgive them and give you the heart for them that maybe you didn't have before.
100%.
I think when I am like reflecting, I went through a season of a bit different to what you were saying, but a friendship, relationship struggle. And I was so hurt and disappointed by the scenario. And I would like to say I was doing the avoidance technique where like you just avoid thinking about them, you avoid talking about them, you avoid praying about them.
Yeah.
You just don't even want to consider anything because it will reignite the frustrations of that scenario.
I'm sure we've all been there.
And I think it's actually such a plan of the enemy. Because if we don't acknowledge it, if we don't pray for them, if we don't bless them, like we said, we get stuck in that box. We never move forward and we never learn. And you know what's amazing is that relationship is now healed. If you asked me this a year ago,
wow,
I would literally be like, this is never going to happen, right?
Wow.
But the prayers, the forgiveness, even like in the episode on Thursday where we were talking about being friends who love deeply.
Yeah.
Being a friend who loves deeply, being someone who loves enough to pray and bless versus the opposite.
Yeah.
That's actually what the point of difference is. Yep. That's actually what allows us to not be held captive by it all.
I could not agree more.
I think that if anyone can get anything out of today, don't wait for that moment of forgiveness to start praying. Like you, Shay, it might not have been easy. It might not have always made sense.
My heart might not have been in it at the beginning, if I'm being honest.
And you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
That's
because
okay.
I finally felt like because I did that, now my heart is in it.
Yeah. So good. Bless those who curse you and pray for those who mistreat you. It's not always something easy to do, but if we can remember that forgiveness actually starts with blessing and prayer rather than finishing with it, that is where things will change. I cannot wait to dive even deeper into the Word of God with you next week, but until then, I pray you're able to find moments of joy.